Om Akyana Timuranda Shakyanangina Salakaya Sakshur Militanye Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Vanchakapatarupyascha Kripasindupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuse Namaha. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and we are on Madhya Lila chapter 3. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stays at the house of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya said, "Just sit down here on these seats." Catching their hands, he set them both down. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "It is not proper for a sannyasi to eat such a variety of foods. If he does, how can he control his senses?" When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept the food that had already been served, Advaita Acharya said, "Please give up your concealment. I know what you are, and I know the confidential meaning of your accepting the sannyas order." Advaita Acharya requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to eat and give up juggling words. The Lord replied, "I certainly cannot eat so much food." Advaita Acharya then requested the Lord to simply accept the prasadam without pretense. If he could not eat it at all, the balance could be left on the plate. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I will not be able to eat so much food, and it is not the duty of a sannyasi to leave remnants." In this connection, Advaita Acharya referred to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eating at Jagannath Puri. Lord Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Advaita Acharya pointed out that at Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate 54 times a day, and each time he ate many hundreds of pots of food. Sri Advaita Acharya said, "The amount of food that 3 people can eat does not constitute even a morsel for you. In proportion to that, these edibles are not even 5 morsels of food for you." Advaita Acharya continued, "By my great fortune, you have just come to my home. Please do not juggle words, just begin eating and do not talk."
54 times in a day? Jagannath Puri?
Yeah.
He ate 54 times in one day.
Yeah. He's the Lord, he's infinite.
Wow.
Upon saying this, Advaita Acharya supplied water to the 2 lords so that they could wash their hands. The 2 lords then sat down and smiling began to eat the prasadam. Nityananda Prabhu said, "I have undergone fasting for 3 days continuously. Today I had hoped to break my fast." Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking that the quantity of food was enormous, Nityananda Prabhu, on the contrary, thought it is not even a morsel. He had been fasting for 3 days and had greatly hoped to break fast on that day. Indeed, he said, "Although I am invited to eat by Advaita Acharya today, also is a fast. So small a quantity of food will not fill even the half of my belly." Advaita Acharya replied, "Sir, you are a mendicant traveling on pilgrimage. Sometimes you eat fruits and roots, and sometimes you simply go on fasting. I am a poor Brahmana, and you have come to my home. Please be satisfied with whatever little food you have received and give up your greedy mentality." Lord Nityananda Prabhu replied, they're always joking. Lord Nityananda replied, "Whatever I may be, you have invited me. Therefore, you must supply me as much as I want to eat.
Could you remind me what exact verses is this?
This is 83.
83. And chapter?
Chapter, Madhya Lila, chapter 3. His Divine Grace, Advaita Acharya, after hearing the statement of Nityananda Prabhu, took the opportunity presented by the joking words and spoke to him as follows. Advaita Acharya said, "You are a reject Paramahamsa, and you have accepted the renounced order of life just to fill up your belly. I can understand that your business is to give trouble to Brahmanas." They have that relationship.
Give trouble to Brahmanas.
Advaita Acharya accused Nityananda Prabhu, saying, "You can eat then 10 to 20 manas of rice. I'm a poor Brahmana. How shall I get so much rice? Whatever you have, though it be a palmful of rice, please eat it and get up. Don't show your madness and strew the remnants of food here and there." In this way, Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate and talked with Advaita Acharya jokingly. After eating half of each vegetable preparation given to him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu abandoned it and went out to the next. As soon as half of the vegetable in the pot was finished, Advaita Acharya filled it up again. In this way, as the Lord finished half of a preparation, Advaita Acharya again and again filled it up. After filling a pot with vegetables, Advaita Acharya requested them to eat more. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "How much more can I go on eating?" Advaita Acharya said, "Please do not give up whatever I have already given you. Now whatever I am giving, you may eat half and leave half." In this way, by submitting various humble requests, Advaita Acharya made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda eat. Thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fulfilled all the desires of Advaita Acharya. Again Nityananda Prabhu jokingly said, "My belly is not yet filled up. Please take away your food. I have not taken the least of it." After saying this, Nityananda Prabhu took a handful of rice and threw it on the floor in front of him, as if he were angry. With 2 or 4 pieces of the thrown rice touched his body, Advaita Acharya began to dance in various ways, with the rice still stuck on his body. When the rice thrown by Nityananda Prabhu touched his body, Advaita Acharya thought himself purified by the touch of remnants thrown by Paramahamsa Nityananda. Therefore he began dancing. Advaita Acharya jokingly said, "My dear Nityananda, I invited you, and indeed I have received the results. You have now fixed caste or dynasty. By nature you are a madman. To make me a madman like yourself, you have thrown the remnants of your food at me. You did not even fear the fact that I am a Brahmana." Nityananda Prabhu replied, "These are the remnants of food left by Lord Krishna. If you take them to be ordinary remnants, you have committed an offense." Srila Nityananda Prabhu continued, "If you invite at least 100 sannyasis in your home and feed them sumptuously, your offense will be nullified."
Taking that? If he's going to feed 100 sannyasis, then his offense will go away, yeah? Nullified.
Nullified.
Nullified, like zero. No more. Bus finish.
Nullified, the zero, the null is in it.
Null, zero.
He has to feed 100 sannyasis, then the offense will be nullified. Advaita Acharya replied, I shall never again invite another sannyasi, for it is a sannyasi who has spoiled it all, my Brahminical Smriti regulations. After this, Advaita Acharya made the lords wash their hands and mouth. He then took them to a nice bed and made them lay down to take rest. Excuse me. Sri Advaita Acharya fed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with tulasi flowers. Thus there was a good flavor within their mouth. Sri Advaita Acharya then smeared the bodies of the lords with sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chests. When the Lord lay down on the bed, Advaita Acharya waited to massage his legs, but the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Advaita Acharya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice. Go with Mukunda and Haridas and accept your lunch. Thereupon, Advaita Acharya took prasadam with Mukunda and Haridas, and they all wholeheartedly excuse me, ate as much as they desired. When the people of Shantipur heard that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they all immediately came to see his lotus feet. Being very pleased, all the people loudly began to shout the holy name of the Lord. Hari, Hari! Indeed, they became struck with wonder upon seeing the beauty of the Lord. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very fair complexioned body and its bright luster, which conquered the brilliance of the sun. Over and above this was the beauty of the saffron garments that glittered upon his body. People came and went with great pleasure. There was no calculating how many people assembled there before the day was over. As soon as it was evening, Advaita Acharya began the congregational chanting. He even began to dance himself, and the Lord saw the performance. When Advaita Acharya began to dance, Nityananda Prabhu began dancing behind him. Haridas Thakur, being very pleased, also began dancing behind him. Advaita Acharya said, My dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many, many days, Lord Krishna is in my house. Advaita Acharya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure he sang this verse. There was a manifestation of ecstatic perspiration, shivering and raised hairs, tears in the eyes, and sometimes thundering and bellowing. While dancing, Advaita Acharya would sometimes turn around and catch the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya would then speak to him as follows. Sri Advaita Acharya would say, Many days you escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my home, and I will keep you bound up. So speaking, Advaita Acharya performed congregational chanting with great pleasure for 3 hours that night, and danced all the time. When Advaita Acharya danced in that way, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstatic love for Krishna, and because of his separation, the waves and flames of love increased. Being agitated by the ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly fell to the ground. Seeing this, Advaita Acharya stopped dancing. When Mukunda saw the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the feelings of the Lord and began to sing many stanzas augmenting the force of the Lord's ecstasy. Advaita Acharya raised the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, but the Lord, after hearing the stanzas sung by Mukunda, could not be held due to his bodily symptoms. Tears fell from his eyes, and his whole body trembled. His bodily hair stood on end. He perspired heavily, and his words faltered. Sometimes he stood, and sometimes he fell, and sometimes he cried. Mukunda sang, "My dear intimate friend, what has not happened to me? Due to the effects of the poison of love for Krishna, my body and mind have been severely afflicted. My feeling is like this: my mind burns day and night, and I cannot get to rest. If there were some place I could go to meet Krishna, I would immediately fly there." This stanza was sung by Mukunda in a very sweet voice, but as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this stanza, his mind went to pieces. The transcendental ecstatic symptoms of disappointment, moroseness, pleasure, restlessness, pride and humility all began to fight like soldiers within the Lord. The entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then suddenly the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of his ecstasy. Lord Nityananda began to walk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see that he would not fall, and Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur followed them, dancing. In this way, the Lord danced for at least 3 hours. Sometimes the symptoms of ecstasy were visible, including pleasure, moroseness, and many other waves of ecstatic emotional love. The Lord had been fasting for 3 days, and after that period he took edibles sumptuously. Thus, when he danced and jumped high, he became a little fatigued. Being fully absorbed in love of Godhead, he would not understand his fatigue, but Nityananda Prabhu, catching him, stopped him dancing. Although the Lord was fatigued, Nityananda Prabhu kept him steady by holding him. At that time, Advaita Acharya suspended the chanting and by rendering various services to the Lord, made him lie down to take rest. For 10 continuous days, Advaita Acharya held feasting and chanting in the evening. He served the Lord in this way without any change. In the morning, Chandrasekhara seated Sachi Mata in a palanquin and brought her from her house with many devotees. In this way, all the people of the town of Nadia, including all women, boys and old men, came there. Thus the crowd increased. In the morning, after regular duties were completed and the Lord was chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the people accompanied Sachi Mata to the house of Advaita Acharya. As soon as Mother Sachi appeared on the scene, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell before her like a stake. Mother Sachi began to cry, taking the Lord on her lap. Upon seeing each other, they both became overwhelmed. Seeing the Lord's head without hair, Mother Sachi became greatly agitated. Out of love, she began to caress the body of the Lord. Sometimes she kissed his face and tried to observe him carefully. But because her eyes were filled with tears, she could not see. Understanding that Lord Chaitanya had accepted the renounced order of life, Sachimata, crying to the Lord, "My darling Nimai, do not be cruel like Vishvarup, your elder brother." Mother Sachi continued, "After accepting the renounced order, Vishvarup never again gave me audience. If you do like him, that will certainly be the death of me." The Lord replied, "My dear mother, please hear. This body belongs to you. I do not possess anything. This body was raised by you, and it came from you. I cannot repay this debt, even in millions of births. Knowingly or unknowingly, I have accepted this renounced order. Still, I shall never be indifferent to you. My dear mother, wherever you ask me to stay, I shall stay, and whatever you order, I shall execute." Saying this, the Lord offered obeisances to his mother again and again, and Mother Sachi, being pleased, took him again and again on her lap. Then Advaita Acharya took Mother Sachi within the house. The Lord was immediately ready to meet all the devotees. Okay, we stop here for today. Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila Chapter 3. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's stay at the house of Advaita Acharya Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev.
Jai.
Jai. Hari Yaraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Sapaikar Sisi Guru Kuranga Sunda Radha Kilidhari Juki Jai. Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Niyamalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Sunda Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Rakak Sila Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Sila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Sila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Sri Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Sabashada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sabashada Sri Mama Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath. Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Kiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Purushottama Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat East London Chapter Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat West London Chapter Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Jagannath Ballabha, please come. So you turn it off?